Hey, what's going on, guys? Robert Drysdale here. Welcome back to the channel. This is my good friend Scott Burr. Today we're going to be showing you guys a loop choke from standing. Now, I show this move a lot of times to heavyweights because they end up in that stand-up battle. And I always get that question, Rob, like, how do I get this guy to the ground, right? Like, it's super hard to take him down. He's heavy. A lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools, or most of them for that matter, don't spend a lot of time working on takedowns. That has to do with a lot of times the mats are too crowded or too small. And, you know, Jiu-Jitsu just doesn't have that tradition to start standing like it used to back in the days, right? So we start on our knees a lot. And that poses a problem for heavyweights. Every heavyweight has this problem. Not just heavyweights, but especially heavyweights. So one thing that's not unusual to happen in a tournament or even the gym, it happens all the time, is my opponent takes a bad shot on me and I'm able to sprawl on him. I get that front headlock position. Now this can happen from either he took a bad shot or even sometimes like a decent shot, but I was able to sprawl on him, right? Maybe we don't hit the ground, we stay standing. Or maybe I'm able to snap his head down. That's not unusual as well. It doesn't matter how I get to that front headlock. As long as I get to that front headlock, I have a really good solution for the heavyweights. It's high reward, low risk, as long as, you know, there's some things you really can't get wrong, but for the most part, it's low risk. So I'm gonna imagine just like I snapped his head down into a front headlock, right? So typically a front headlock, I'm gonna have the head and the arm. I don't want just the head unless I already have a guillotine, and I don't want both arms, otherwise he's just gonna run me over, right? So I'm looking for, so I can put a break in front of his shoulder here to take some of the power off his shot away from him. But I want one arm, right? Remember, if I'm here and I have no arms at all, there's nothing stopping him from backing out, right? So I lose him. So 1, 2, very important for this particular move is I'm gonna drop my weight on the back of his neck. I want him to resist. He's not gonna fall to his knees. Because if he did fall to his knees, keep in mind, if I'm the one who initiated it and I do this right here, I just scored 2 points on him, right? That's called a takedown if I initiate it. So from a strategical perspective, he doesn't wanna go down. So he's probably gonna stay standing. So if I get to that front headlock right here, I put some weight on the back of his neck. I want him to resist that weight. What I'm gonna do now, and this is where it's kind of tricky because there's no ideal place to hold on to that collar. And the reason for that is it's contingent on the length of my arms in relation to his size. So you have to measure that. So if you got someone with a really big neck and maybe you have shorter arms, you're gonna have to hold with a little more slack. If you got long arms, you got someone that's like a smaller torso, you might have to, or a smaller neck, you might have to go a little bit deeper. So you're gonna measure that. It's gonna be close to the collarbone, but you have to make that call according to your size in relation to your opponent's size, right? So once I get this position, thumb out, okay? I'm gonna get the blade on the neck. You don't have to squeeze or try to choke him here. What you do have to do is to bite the back of the neck with the shoulder. So what I'm trying to do is to drop the back of the neck on the collar. This by itself, it's not a choke, but we're gonna get there. It's important you keep the weight on the shoulder because he will try to pull his head out. He doesn't feel immediate danger here, but he doesn't like being in that position either. My left hand is gonna go on the outside of the knee. It's very important that I go pocket grip. And by pocket grip, I mean digging my fingers into his gi. So my hand turns into sort of like a meat hook, like this grip doesn't break. You have to avoid this kind of grip, and I call it a credit card grip because it slides, right? It kind of swipes like a credit card. And here you just, it's pure finger. Like there's not a lot of mechanics to it. It's just my fingers squeezing his gi. When I go pocket grip, I turn my hand into a meat hook. So I have a lot more control over his body, right? So whenever I hold that pants, I don't want you guys holding like this. I want you digging palm up, push your fingers into the pants. This is the kind of grip I want because it doesn't break easily, especially because I'm pulling up, right? So it's a very, even if he kicks back, it's difficult for him to break that grip. So 1, 2, I'm gonna get the pocket grip, and here's where it's gonna get tricky. Every cell in your body when you do this move, you're gonna try to put your weight on the ground instinctively. You're gonna put your weight on the ground. And I'm gonna ask you to resist that because I've taught this move many times, and it's like 90% of students make this mistake for the first 15 minutes. I'm giving this instruction. And then towards the end, they start understanding what they're supposed to do. So I'm gonna try to make it very specific here. You don't want your knees or your butt on the ground throughout the entire sequence. So no knees and no butt on the ground throughout the entire sequence. You're gonna have your toes on the ground and the rest of your body is gonna be leaning on your opponent the entire time. He's supposed to feel heavy. He's supposed to feel uncomfortable with your weight because I am driving my weight into him, and that's what's gonna make the choke tight. Another misconception people have regarding chokes in general is that they think that when at the end of the choke, that's when they start choking, right? And I don't like to think that way. When I connect the guillotine, well before I'm in a position to finish, I'm already trying to finish. And what I mean by that is chokes work as a buildup. Chokes are not heel hooks, they're not wrist locks, they're not quick. There's a buildup for a choke, it's like a buildup. And that buildup can only go up, it can't go down, because the second you go down, they breathe, like the blood flow goes back and you go back to square one. So I'd rather you start with a consistent, steady pressure upwards versus doing that right there with your choke, which is gonna wear you out and it's not gonna work. So for the purpose of this move, I want you guys staying consistent with the pressure, okay? So 1, 2. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna push my head underneath his armpit and I'm gonna drive into him. Now, sometimes he'll fall, sometimes he won't. Personally, I don't care. I'm not trying to get this guy to fall. I'm trying to choke him. So once again, it's very important that you guys drive into your opponent, keep your weight. You're gonna be driving off your shoulder blades into his body. Sometimes they'll fall, sometimes they won't. I don't care. I'm not going down. It's important that my body stays like a bridge, like an arch between my feet and my upper body that's leaning / pushing into him. And they tap, okay? Notice that I'm not even close to putting my knee on the ground. A lot of people, when they show this choke, they show it like they get the guy on the ground and then they finish. And I don't like that approach because throughout that sequence of trying to get the guy on the ground, there's a lot of slack. Whereas if I'm trying to choke him the whole time, there's no slack and I don't have to put him down. He'll volunteer his weight down. So that's not unusual for him to do, is instead of tapping on his feet, he's gonna go down because that buys him an extra second. So now this time, just roll with me as I drive. Yes. So like notice that I stay on him, I don't go anywhere. And then here, yeah, caught him. So you have to resist the temptation of flipping belly up, which is something I'm gonna do next. It's not unusual for him to do that. But we have to resist that temptation because it takes the pressure off my opponent. So the way I look at this is this way. Imagine a spiral inwards. So I'm not driving in a straight line and I'm not just turning. Imagine like a drill that's going in and around, right? That's the sort of motion you want with your body while you're trying to choke him the whole time. One more time. So remember, when we go down, in case we go down, you don't want your butt on the ground, you don't want your knees on the ground, you gotta keep your weight on your opponent the entire time. So when I start putting pressure here, look, a lot of times we turn, my weight is still on him, okay? And then I catch him right here, I'm bridging the whole time. There's an arch between my feet and my shoulder blades. I don't do this. The second I do that, there's slack, there's room, he can hand fight, he can breathe. Don't put your weight on the ground. There's one more situation I want to cover here, and sometimes this happens when I'm going for this loop choke. Maybe my grip wasn't positioned correctly. Maybe he's got a hand in there, he's just not tapping. I'll show you guys a little trick. So, drive. So right here, he goes back down. Okay, so let's say he doesn't tap right here. I'm gonna let go of the knee and I'm gonna hook his arm. Straight into side control. Notice that I keep the collar throughout the sequence. Same thing on the other side. So in case he doesn't tap, you go all the way to the ground, he hasn't tapped. Maybe you got a weak grip, maybe he's got his hand in there, maybe he's got a strong neck. At the very least, I'll finish on top. This will count as a takedown, and there's a very good chance you get the submission from side control. Now, right now, let go of the pants, hook the arm. Go straight into side control. If they don't tap, or maybe your grip breaks somewhere along the way, you'll be in side control. That will count as a takedown. Now, why is this such a good move for the heavyweight division? The reason for that is, like I said, getting the guy down is very difficult. But if I'm applying the pressure right into the guy's neck, he's gonna volunteer to go down just to buy himself time, right? Not to get tapped right away, tap when he hits the ground. So it's a very efficient move for heavyweights. Guys, it's very important here is the grip on the pants, that pocket grip. I cannot emphasize that enough because what's stopping him from running away is that grip. If I'm in that position, right, and I grip his knee, and somewhere along the way he frees the knee, there's nothing stopping him from running, right? What stops him from running from that choke is that grip on the knee. So that absolutely cannot break. If that grip breaks, you don't have the position. Incidentally, if let's say we happen to be on our knees, either because I was passing his guard and he went to his knees, or after his shot, he ended up on his knees, any situation, I'm in the front headlock, it's the exact same choke. In fact, if you're doing this for the first time, it's a little bit easier to practice this way. Same thing, bite the neck with the shoulder, adjust the hand on the collar, right, to adjust to his neck, pocket grip, head goes underneath the armpit, and I drive. Right, he's tapping, right? If he happened to go down, it'd be the exact same thing. The pressure stays on throughout the sequence and is consistent. There's no such thing as just holding the neck, trying to get him down, and then trying to choke. It's not how it works. The objective is not to get him down. The objective is to choke him. Him going down is a side effect of the choke. All right, guys, so hope you guys enjoyed the move. This is a move I use a lot in the gym. I have one of my students, he won the world title with this move once. This is, it's simple. Like I said, it's very high reward, low risk. If you couldn't, like, you can always abort halfway through. If you don't like it, you can always go back to where you came from. So I highly recommend it, all divisions, but especially in the heavyweight division when no one ever pulls guard, right? And again, you can do it from standing and from the front headlock. If you believe the move has value, if you like the channel, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you would like to learn. If there's anything specific that you think that we're missing, that we should be doing on the channel, please let us know. The channel is for you guys. So I'm happy to share my experience with you guys. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time.